Hi, I'm Mugs McConnell, and this is Snippets of Yoga Philosophy. So today I wanted to touch on the topic of bandhas. So bandhas are locks or muscular contractions that bind. And they're usually used during breath retention during pranayama, whether that's an internal breath retention, meaning you hold the breath after you've inhaled, or an external breath retention, meaning you hold it after you've exhaled all the air out. So these are advanced breathing techniques, but they're also very useful in general in the practice of pranayama. So there's three main bandhas, one at the throat, one at the solar plexus, and abdominal area, and one at the base of the spine at the root. So let's start with the throat. This is called Jalandhara Bandha, and it's a lock that after you've inhaled, you lower the chin into the jugular notch, and it creates a seal, a lock here in the throat area. So we've talked before about prana, the life force coming in, and it breaks into 5 different prana vayus. And so when we inhale and we apply Jalandhara Bandha, the prana vayu is pressed down. So one of the most easiest ways to apply this lock is you draw the chin forward, it kind of lengthens the neck, draw the chin back, and then lower it down. So let's try that again. Chin forward, back, and down. And here we have a Jalandhara Bandha. And you don't want to be way down and uncomfortable with this. So this then has some wonderful benefits. It's protecting your ears, for one, from the pressure while you're holding the breath internally. And also, as the chin is down, there's pressure on the carotid artery. And this has a calming effect to counter the effect of concern while holding the breath. So the body has a natural response that it wants us to breathe rhythmically, regularly, with the exchange of gases. And so as we hold the breath, the body's natural response is it wants to hurry up and breathe. So this has a very calming effect in the body, holding Jalandhara Bandha if you want to extend your breath retention. Now, if you're not having a long breath retention, Dr. Ananda from the Gitananda system has taught us Aprakasha bindu, which is after you've inhaled, you do a swallow with a little click in it. And that swallow is a nice, simple protection for the ears and a little lock for a short breath retention. But if your pranayama practice is to have a long breath retention, then it is advised by Swami Kuvalayananda, Mr. Iyengar, all the yoga masters, to apply the Jalandhara Bandha. Okay, moving down to Uddiyana Bandha, which is in the solar plexus region. This Uddiyana means flying up. And so it's in the mid part of the body to draw up the energy as the prana moves into the sushumna. So it has multiple roles though, like it's in its greatest force, it is applied after an exhalation, and then you draw the belly in and back. And in letters from the yoga masters on page 72, there is a picture of Hari in Uddiyana Bandha after a deep exhalation and drawing the abdomen in and up. So it is an abdominal lock and very powerful. So not recommended if you have any hernia issues, or of course, if you're pregnant, you would be doing a completely different practice. So as I say, these are advanced practices, but it's very interesting to learn and know about them. Now, when you are breathing and you are inhaling the breath and sitting upright, Uddiyana, in this sense, this muscular contraction in the abdominal region, is offering you support during your breath retention after an inhalation. So you're not drawing the belly in like you would in a deep after a deep exhalation, but you can feel the support of the abdominal muscles as you retain the breath and have your chin lock on. Okay, so flying up, it's drawing the prana up after the exhalation. Mula Bandha is the third lock, the root lock, and it, I talk more about it in the seat of Pranayama in one of the previous episodes of the Snippets of Yoga Philosophy. It might be around episode 22. And in the front plate for this, I will name that the precise episode for you. So I demonstrate how to apply this in your pranayama or meditation seat. But for now, I'm just going to talk about it. So in Mula Bandha, for women, it's like the Kegels. They would understand that there's a drawing up of the pelvic floor. There's a drawing up of the perineum. But also we can find this simply by finding our center in our seat. So if you're sitting on a chair or on the floor, when you lean slightly forward, the lower abdomen is relaxed. And if you gently lean back, you can feel the engagement of the lower abdominal muscles so that you don't fall backwards. So you don't want to be struggling with this, but you find this center part where there's just a slight engagement below the navel. And this, you can feel the pelvic floor lifting up. It's very subtle. You don't want to be struggling, as I say, to stay upright, but it keeps you with an erect spine. And this is a gentle Mula Bandha to hold you there. So often when we're sitting and doing pranayama and meditating, we just lean forward and let that lower abdominal region relax, but it changes everything in your pranayama. So if you just take that moment to lean back slightly so you can feel the engagement of the muscles below the navel. So you're sitting upright and you take a nice breath in. You can really feel the expansion in the rib cage. And then exhale. If you lean forward and let that lower abdomen relax and breathe in, the expansion is not the same. You can feel a downward pressure through the pelvic floor. Let's compare again. Lean back slightly and feel that slight firmness below the navel and breathe in. And you don't feel the downward pressure through the pelvic floor anymore. You feel this upward expansion into the rib cage. So Swami Kuvalayananda from Kaivalya Dhamma Institute did a lot of research in this, in recognizing the benefit of this gentle Mula Bandha in your seat for pranayama and how it affects your pranayama all the way through it. So Mula Bandha is this slight firmness below the navel that draws up the pelvic floor. You can feel this drawing up, but that slight firmness below the navel is a way to achieve this, a simple way to achieve this and hold it comfortably. You still need to develop the muscles in order to hold it comfortably, so that takes practice. Uddiyana is the flying up at the upper abdominal region, solar plexus region, drawing the navel in and up as you deeply, deeply, deeply exhale. And it has many purposes, but we'll talk about the vayus again in a second. And then the Jalandhara Bandha is at the throat center. One more thing about Jalandhara Bandha, if you feel the hyoid bone here, it's one that you can go side to side. And I was recently instructed that with this, it's like a little smile there that when you swallow and slightly lower the chin, that bone goes up like a little horseshoe smile shape. And that also is part of this Jalandhara Bandha. Okay, so when we apply Jalandhara Bandha on the physical level, it's protecting the ears and slowing down the fear, the fight or flight while you're holding the breath through the pressure on the carotid sinus, carotid artery. And so it has a calming effect, which is really beneficial. It's pressing the prana vayu downward. Mula Bandha at the root is pressing the apana vayu upward. And those can co-join together. And Uddiyana Bandha is drawing that co-joined energy up through the sushumna. So that's your flying up. Another example of how we naturally will end up doing an Uddiyana Bandha is if we feel ill and we vomit. That's a flying up to get the awful toxic stuff out of your body. So that is a strong Uddiyana Bandha that flies that whatever it is out of the body. But we're applying this concaveness in the body for the purpose of drawing the prana up. And I'm not sure if they're in the book. Whoopsie. On page 72, there's a picture there of Hari applying his Uddiyana Bandha. So you can see that there. So all three of these can be applied together as Mahabandha or Bandha Traya. So the three applied together. So you can apply them individually. So Jalandhara and Mula Bandha are applied after inhalation. Uddiyana is strongly applied after exhalation. But after a deep breath in, and you apply all three bandhas, because Uddiyana is the support for the core of the body. And then you deeply exhale, lift the chin and deeply exhale after the breath retention. And then you really apply Uddiyana Bandha to fly up or draw up the prana through the sushumna. So that's a very, very powerful technique for pranayama, and strongly advised to learn it from a trained yoga master in order to do that. That is a whole section in letters from the yoga masters in chapter 5 about mudras and bandhas and the techniques that were taught to Hari. So a very interesting chapter on that. And so these three bandhas come up again in the mudras, in the full body mudras of the Hatha Yoga Pradipika. So there's a process where we learn pranayama. Well, first we learn asana, then we learn pranayama, and then you put pranayama and asana together in certain poses, and they become full body mudras as described in the Hatha Yoga Pradipika. So there's all these progressions, and asana is only a tiny portion of the richness and fullness of the yoga teachings. Now, in my book, Letters from the Yoga Masters, on page 71, these three bandhas are talked about. Also, that chapter 5, page 119. And then I believe it's on page 162. There's a gentle approach to the practice of, so I'm just going to make sure I'm telling you the right page. Yes, page 162. A gentle approach of applying the 3 bandhas for your meditation seat. And this is from Swami Vishnu Tirth, where as you sit, you apply, you find your seat, leaning forward or back. So you have that slight firmness below the navel in your Mula Bandha, and now you have a strong foundation for your meditation. Then the slight Uddiyana is simply supporting the core. So you are sitting upright, and sitting upright as opposed to slouching is very important in pranayama and meditation. It's like a seated tadasana. All of your practices, we want to be upright and straight because the spine plays such a big role in our flow of prana, and the chest open for the function of the heart and the lungs. They need their space in the chest cavity, and if we slouch, then we are limiting that. So this Uddiyana helps us in the contraction of the core muscles to hold us upright. And then just a slight aligning of the head. I'm short, so I tend to have my chin up a lot because I'm always looking up at people. So just a slight lowering of the chin to lengthen that back of the neck a bit. So it's just a mild form of Bandha Traya or Mahabandha as you sit for your meditation. So it's not a collapsing of the neck per se, but just a slight lowering of the chin, sitting upright, and slight firmness below the navel for a strong foundation and seat for the practice of your meditation. So that's from Swami Vishnu Tirth. With the natural Bandha Traya he applied. That's what he calls it, a natural Bandha Traya. So it's coming into play simply to help you sit upright and erect for the benefit of your meditation. So the prana can flow and the kundalini can flow should you decide to rise. There's one more little bandha called Jihva Bandha. It is a tongue lock, and it's not always applied, but it creates a better seal in the back of the throat. So there are pranayamas where you can actually have Jalandhara Bandha on. Well, at least there's one pranayama where you have Jalandhara Bandha on and can still exhale. So the prana, the breath, can still flow with that. So if you take the volume of your tongue and press it back to seal the throat, the top of the tongue is pressing the top of the mouth, and you're pressing that volume back into the throat. And then apply your Jalandhara Bandha, so chin forward, back, and down. And you have this tongue sealing the back of the throat. That is Jihva Bandha, the tongue lock. And so it creates a seal where no prana can escape. The breath cannot escape while you're holding. And that is sometimes recommended during the internal breath retention after the internal kumbhaka, after an inhalation. So that's all I want to say today about bandhas. I hope that's enlightening and can help you understand the benefits of gentle use of the 3 bandhas, practical use of the 3 bandhas, and the powerful impact of using them together with pranayama and full body mudras. So always learning more and more about the magnificence of our yoga journey. Have a beautiful day, and thank you so much for being here.